Hare Krishna. Welcome all the devotees for this Gita Made Easy program. Bhagavad-gita, 18 chapters. Today we are going to discuss on chapter number 12, entitled Devotional Service. So this is a very short chapter in the Bhagavad-gita. As we know, chapter 2 and chapter 18 are the longest chapters with more number of verses. This chapter is actually the short chapter in Bhagavad-gita. It has only 20 verses, but it is, we can say, condensed message. The most important message is given by Sri Krishna in chapter 12. So this course is designed based on the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So before going into the class, let us offer our humble prayers at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, so that we may understand the teachings and also we'll have the strength to practice His teachings. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swavadantikam Mandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpadarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patidana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namao Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Desatarine Mugam Karoti Vachalam Pangun Lange Te Girimitrupada Mande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So chapter 12. So we are in the middle section of Bhagavad-gita. Today is chapter 12, so which is the most important section. So today, after this, following weeks, we'll have chapter 13 to 18, which is Jnana Yoga. Why Jnana Yoga Krishna is stressing is how through this Jnana Yoga we can enhance our bhakti. So today will be the middle section, the last chapter in the middle section of Bhagavad Gita, which is emphasizing on the glories and importance of Bhakti Yoga. So just to have a recap on what we discussed on last week. Last week was chapter 11, which is entitled the Universal Form or Vishwarupa Darshanam, which was exhibited by Sri Krishna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, as per the request of Arjuna. So this universal form is basically a temporary form manifested by Sri Krishna based on the request which was given by Arjuna, because Arjuna already know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he wants to understand how he is pervading toward the entire universe. Also, he wants to prove to the world that Sri Krishna, even though he appeared in the form of human-like form, he is still the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For these two reasons, he has requested Krishna to exhibit his universal form. Based on the request, actually, Krishna exhibits the universal form, Vishwarupa, which is discussed from text number 5 to 14. Seeing the Vishwarupa form, it's like he can see, Arjuna can see the past, present, and future all in one place in this Vishwarupa. You can see all the demigods, devatas, the sages, everything at one place he is able to see, witness. By seeing this entire universal form, Arjuna becomes very much disturbed. Then he is humbly submitting the prayers that please come back to your original form as you were before, the Shyamashundara form. So that's more beautiful, so attractive. So that was a prayer expressed by Arjuna to come back to the original 200 form, which is the topmost form. So beautiful. It is said in the scripture, sir, that 200 form is so beautiful, so attractive. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Even millions of cupids cannot match with the beauty of Sri Krishna in that 200 Shyamashundara form. So based on Arjuna's request, Krishna comes back to the original two-armed form, which is the ending section of the chapter number 11, armed form. So even the scriptures, it is said that a man is made in the image of God. Sometimes we think that man out of imagination he makes a form of God similar to ours, but it is the other way around. God is having the two-handed form. In his replica, he has created us. So we are actually a copy-paste of God. But he is so beautiful. We have limited beauty. He is unlimitedly beautiful. And he is unlimitedly powerful. So in that way, this chapter number 11 ends with Krishna exhibiting back his original two-handed Shama Sundara form. So this is for chapter number 12. And Arjuna is now thinking, see, God is so beautiful in this form, but still there are people worshipping God actually in impersonal way. That means they believe that God is not having any form. So one is Arjuna is attracted by this personal form of Krishna. And also Arjuna wants to know whether whatever way he is attracted, is it correct way of worshipping or not. So chapter number 12 begins with a question that which form of worship is better? Those who worship the personal form, they are better, or those who worship the impersonal form, they are better. So Arjuna wants to clarify his doubt. So the chapter 12, verse number 1 begins with a question of Arjuna asking, "Oh my dear Lord Krishna, those who worship you with the personal form, they are better or higher, or those who worship God in the impersonal form, they are better." So it's a very, very important question to understand. Even though we believe in God, we do not know whether to worship him in personal future or impersonal future. So that will be answered by Krishna. So chapter number 11 to 12, transition, Krishna entered the 11th chapter by establishing the supremacy of the two-handed form, Shama Sundara form. Just to avoid any doubt about the universal form, Arjuna asked again clarification, which form is superior. So he has seen in chapter 11 both forms, the impersonal form, which is universal form, and also the personal Shama Sundara form. Now Arjuna wants to know which of the two forms which is exhibited is actually superior. So there is a relation between chapter 11 and 12 based on the forms which he has seen, got the darshan. Now Arjuna is posting this question before Sri Krishna. So this chapter is entitled Devotional Service or Bhakti Yoga, where Krishna is going to talk about three important aspects. The first aspect is whether which form is superior, whether the personal worship of personal form is superior or impersonal form. Second is Krishna is going to talk about at whatever level we are, we can progress in bhakti from that level, whichever is feasible for us. So different options to progress in the spiritual life, and those who have progressed in spiritual life in the path of bhakti, what will be their qualities? Those qualities which even attracts Krishna himself. The devotee has such a qualities, divine qualities, that Krishna becomes subservient to the devotee. God controls everyone, but a devotee controls God because of his magnanimous divine qualities, which makes him so attractive. So here we are seeing the synopsis of chapter 12. Lord Krishna shows his universal form, and Arjuna is attached to this two-handed Shama Sundara form. Because he is attached to the two-handed forms, he wants to clarify which position is better, like whether impersonal or personal, and also he is going to discuss about other things about the devotee's qualities. So chapter 12, although chapter 12 is the shortest chapter in Bhagavad-gita, as I said earlier, chapter 12 is the shortest chapter in Bhagavad-gita. It contains the most essential wisdom or the cream of all this Bhagavad-gita knowledge, which is warms the heart of the reader. It makes our heart so blissful when we hear this chapter 12. And it is entitled as Devotional Service. And Devotional Service, as the name indicates, it's very clear. It's going to discuss about the glories of devotion or glories of bhakti or loving exchanges between the devotee and Bhagavan. The stages one may undergo to achieve it, and the qualities of the devotee was perfected. So God essentially means what? CEO, Supreme Controller. As every company has a CEO, Chief Executive Officer, this universe also has a CEO. What is a CEO? C stands for controller, E stands for enjoyer, and O for owner. So God essentially means Supreme Controller. But in this chapter, what we are going to see is we are going to get more insight about the cherished aspect, the sweet side of God's personality and the disposition he is having towards his devotee who is fully in love with God. So this acronym to remember for chapter 12 is God. God, G stands for Godhead, O stands for option, and D stands for devotee's disposition. So as I said, this chapter is only having 20 verses, short and sweet. G stands for Godhead, means God is having a form, and worship of the form, God with the form, is higher. That's why Godhead. So first verse to seventh verse, this discussion is going on between Arjuna and Krishna, which is superior, and Krishna answers that worshipping God with a form is higher than worshipping God without form. And options, and whatever level we are, how to progress in the ultimate stage of bhakti, which is full absorption in the thoughts of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. And the devotee disposition, 13 to 20, Krishna gives what kind of divine qualities his devotees have, which makes him very dear to them. So these are the three things we are going to see today. And the first section, G stands for Godhead, which is first 7 verses in chapter number 12. Godhead, in response to the question by Arjuna, Krishna again picks up the discussion of impersonalism. If you see Bhagavad-gita throughout, Krishna is repeatedly emphasizing on personal form of God. So he's again picking up the discussion of impersonalism. It seems to be recurring throughout Bhagavad-gita. And one may question why. Why Krishna is again and again re-emphasizing this impersonalism. Because if you see, what is our essence? The essence of our being is to be happy. Anando maya vyasat. And we want to be happy in whatever way we are dressing or whatever way we are, wherever we are going. Everything we want happiness. And how do you experience true happiness? When you have loving relationship, you experience true happiness. Example, if there is a child conceived by a mother, I know sometimes the mother does not want the baby because it was accidentally formed or something, they go for abortion. There is no love. But when the same child comes out with a beautiful form, the mother is ready to sacrifice her entire life for the love of the baby. So form is superior to formless. When it is as a small embryo, within the embryo, does not have a proper form, and they are ready to do the abortion. But the beautiful baby, the form comes, so you can have that full loving relationship. The mother is mesmerized by the beauty of the baby, and she's absorbed in the thoughts of her baby. That's natural. So loving relationship, if you want to have some loving relationship, you will experience real happiness. And how do you have your loving relationship? You cannot have loving relationship with something which is not having a form. When you say God is not having a form, you can only have some kind of fear and respect to that form. But if you want to have real loving relationship, then you should worship actually God with the form. So in order for a relationship to exist, it needs three things. There should be a subject, there should be an object, and there should be reciprocation. Three things are required to have a loving relationship. So here, let us see what are the three things for this loving relationship. God is there, the devotee is there. So the object God is there, the subject devotee is there, and loving devotion is the bridge that connects between God and his devotee. In that loving relationship, the devotee experiences unlimited happiness and bliss. But if you say God is impersonal, all the three becomes one. I become one with God. So there is no subject, object, or reciprocity. So it will kill all the three and therefore cheat us the individual and the true happiness which we are supposed to experience when you have loving relationship with God. So Krishna here explains the personal approach of God through Bhakti Yoga, which is in English it is called as devotional service. Service means you do some seva, and devotion means with love. Whenever you have love, then it will result in seva. Like Mahatma Gandhi, the father of our nation, he had so much love for our country. So he did a lot of service in getting freedom for India. So whenever a mother or a wife has so much love for her husband, she does a lot of seva. So when there is love is expressed in the form of service, selfless service. So same thing applies to a devotee. When he's having love for God, he's expressing in the form of seva. What happens by that seva is more practical and he's getting more fulfillment in the long term. Bhakti Yoga is more practical in the immediate term and more fulfilling in the long term. While those who tread on the impersonal path, there are other category of people who tread the path of impersonal path. What happens to them? Their spiritual result also is there. They also get spiritual merit. But what happens on the journey? Their journey is more painful and troublesome because they do not experience full bliss as a devotee's experience. They also get the result, but it is like touching the nose directly is Bhakti Yoga. But if you try to touch the nose by going around your head and then coming, it's troublesome and painful, even though you may achieve the target, but the path is very difficult and there are so many challenges. That's one reason Srila Prabhupada continually refers Krishna as Godhead, Why we say Supreme Personality of Godhead? Because God is ultimately a person who must be approached as such. So there are three spiritual truths we should understand: that God is existing. This universe did not come by chance or by accident. There is a creator called God. That is the first spiritual truth. And the second spiritual truth from Bhagavad-gita we learn is God is a person. He is not impersonal. He is a person. Only difference between us and him is he is supremely beautiful, supremely powerful. We have limited power. He has unlimited power. Okay. In quality, we are same with God, but in quantity, God is infinite. Vibhu, we are Anu, we are small. And third is that God is a person, is God. And who is that person? He is Sri Krishna. None other than Sri Krishna, according to the verdict of Srimad Bhagavad-gita and according to the conclusion of the Acharyas and scriptures. Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, it is concluded that the Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when you have a loving reciprocation with him through devotional service, we experience unlimited bliss. And at the end of this life, we go back to home, back to Godhead. So that is the first section, Godhead, where Arjuna is posting this question: impersonal or personal, which is the process? So conclusion, let us lead Srila Prabhupada, the beautiful purport. In the second chapter, Bhagavad-gita, the Supreme Lord explained that the living entity is not the material body. Dehinosmin yata dehi kaumaram yavvanam tata dehantara prapti dhirastatra namuhyati. So Krishna says in chapter 2, verse number 13, that we are not this perishable material body. We are eternal spiritual soul. And absolute truth is a spiritual whole, which is the 7th chapter of Bhagavad-gita. Krishna speaks that we are actually part and parcel of Krishna. Like this mouse is part and parcel of this computer. As long as this mouse is connected to the computer, there it's having value. But the moment it's disconnected, there is no value of this mouse individually. So the individual soul is part and parcel of the whole, which is Supreme Lord Krishna. So when we are connected to him through bhakti, then we have so much of happiness and perfection. There is meaning for our life. But if you are disconnected from him, then there is no meaning for our existence. Then again, in the 8th chapter, Krishna is saying that anyone who thinks of Krishna at the time of quitting his body at once transferred to spiritual sky. So chapter 8 is called Attaining the Supreme. It is Antakalecha Mameva Smaran Mukta Kalevaram. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajantante kalevaram tam tam eveti kaunteya sadatat bhava bhavitaha. So Krishna is saying, if you think about me at the end of your life, you will definitely achieve me without any doubt. So we can go to our original home, spiritual abode, if we practice our spiritual life. If we practice Krishna consciousness by taking up devotional service sincerely. So at the end of the 6th chapter also, there are many yoga systems which Krishna has explained: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga. But Krishna is saying the conclusion, who is the best of all the yogis. 6th chapter conclusion, the last verse, Krishna says, Yoginam api sarvesha madgate antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samyukto tamo mataha. Of all the yogis, Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, Dhyana Yogi, who is always thinking about Krishna, madgate antaratmana is considered to be the most perfect. So in practically every chapter, the conclusion that one should be attached to the personal form of Krishna. Krishna Shamasundara form, for that is the highest spiritual realization. So this is explained in Bhagavad-gita 2.1, purport Srila Prabhupada is writing. So if you see here the comparison, there are two kind of spiritual people. One is impersonal people and personal people. Impersonal spiritual people, they worship God in the form without form, and personalists worship God with form. So we have a form. To meditate on a form which is without form is difficult for a person who is having form. So the process is difficult. Whereas to worship on a form, it is very easy. And it is here the impersonalists, they have to undergo a lot of difficulties because they have to control our senses. But whereas in personalist, in the devotee, he will enjoy the senses in the service of the Lord. So the senses are getting engagement. Here restriction is there. Here engagement is there. So engagement is easy more than restriction. And here he has to read a lot of Upanishad. This is Jnana Yoga. So he has to understand Sanskrit. But here we need to only chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Simply chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, taking a guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, offering regulative obeisances, regulative principles, following regulative principles, and offering food to the deity and honoring the prasad. And this is completely natural. What Bhakti Yoga is natural because developing our love is natural, which is inbuilt in our system. But it takes this impersonalists take a long path. and it is troublesome also. And here it depends on our own endeavor, impersonalist. It is like crossing a river with our own swimming capability. But here, Krishna takes in charge. We already seen an example earlier also, the earlier class, that a monkey, baby monkey is holding on to the mother monkey. The baby monkey has the risk that it has to hold the mother monkey very tightly. If it is little bit careless, when the mother monkey is jumping from one branch to another branch, what happens? The baby monkey can fall down. That is impersonalist effort. But personalist is like a cat, mother cat carrying the baby kitten. You can see the mother cat, it's holding the teeth and carrying. The risk is taken by the mother, not by the baby. The baby is very relaxed. So Krishna takes the responsibility here for our spiritual progress. Whereas for impersonalist, we have to use our own efforts where there is a risk of falling down. And Brahman is the result of realization. We realize Brahman through Jnana Yoga, but we realize Bhagavan by Bhakti Yoga. That means both are same, but Brahman is actually one aspect of God, which is all-pervading nature without any qualities. But Saguna means God with form is having form and qualities. Brahman is inconceivable, whereas Bhagavan is possessing inconceivable potencies. Brahman is Sarvam Kalidam Brahma, all-pervading, whereas Bhagavan is all-pervading by energy and as super soul. And Brahman is unchanging, fixed and immovable, whereas Bhagavan is unchanging, fixed and immovable. And here Bhagavan has all these affluences, Aishwaryasya, Samagrasya, Viryasya, Yashashriya, Jnana, Vairagya, whereas those qualities are not in the Brahman. And through the Jnana Yoga, we may realize the two parts of Satchidananda. We realize Sat, eternal, and we also express Chit, knowledge aspect. But through Bhagavan realization, we realize the complete aspect, this Purnam, complete realization of Bhagavan, whereas Brahman is partial realization. Complete realization means Sat, Chit, Ananda, bliss part also we realize. But whereas in Brahman realization, the Jnani goes up to Sat and Chit, the Ananda aspect is missing because of lack of realization of Bhagavan. So you can see that Bhagavan realization is higher than Brahman realization. Both are God realization, but Brahman or Paramatma realization is partial realization of God, whereas Bhagavan realization is the complete full realization of Bhagavan. So the conclusion is Bhakti is actually best. We should understand that Bhakti is best, Bhakti is easy, and Bhakti is natural for us because we can express our emotions very easily for Bhagavan, whereas other aspects is little more dry. You can see here the picture. Everybody is smiling when they are chanting the holy names of the Lord. Nobody you can see they are sad or morose. So Bhakti is blissful. B, Bhakti is best. Bhakti is very simple and natural for the Jivatma. And you can see throughout Bhagavad-gita, Krishna is emphasizing the importance of Bhakti, the glories of Bhakti in all these verses. 2.61, chapter 2, verse number 61, 3.30, 4.9, 5.29, Bhaktaram Yajna Tapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Surdam Sarva Bhutanam, Nyatva Mam Santim Richati. 6.47, 6.30, Yoginam Api Sarvesham Adkati Antaratmanaha. 7th chapter, 7.1, 7.14, and 8th chapter, 8.14, 8.5 and to 8, and 9.34, Manmanabhava Madbhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru, Mame Vaishya Satyam Di Prajanihi Priyasmi. 10.8 Chatusloki Am Sarvasya Prabho Matta Sarvam Pravartati Iti Matva Bhajante Mam Buddha Bhava Samanitaha. 11.54 to 55. So, concept of Bhakti developed in Srimad Bhagavad-gita. Throughout Bhagavad-gita, Krishna is giving the essence that Bhakti is very, very natural, very, very blissful, and very much attractive to Krishna. Krishna gets attracted by a devotee who performs devotional service, not by any other yoga. Now Arjuna is thinking, question, so why impersonalists are considered as inferior if they will also achieve you? Because Krishna finally told, even impersonalists will achieve me, but after long trouble and struggle, their path is very troublesome, but after many, many lives, they will come to me. But why it is called inferior? Because they don't experience, like their path is difficult and they are not actually coming to the proper truth. Even though God is having a form, they think that God is actually formless, but after many struggle and pain, they will achieve. Why it is inferior? Because it is not natural and it is not easy and the goal is not achieved immediately. That's why it is called as inferior. So impersonalism is actually painful process. When we take the Jnana Yoga or kind of meditation process, We may not achieve the goal easily or immediately as recommended as we achieve in the path of Bhakti Yoga. And why now Bhakti is better? 12.5 Krishna is saying it is easy to fix the mind. We are engaging the senses. If the idle mind is devil's workshop. When we keep engaging our mind and senses, then the mind is not disturbing us. And there is no need for any material qualification. We know Dhruva Maharaj had the darshan of the Lord when he was 6 years old. There is no age criteria. We need not be beautiful. We need not be knowledgeable. All we need is a sincere desire to have the darshan of the Lord by practicing devotion. Only thing. Only our desire is the criteria here. There is no criteria. We may be poor or rich. We may be educated or uneducated. We may be beautiful or ugly. Doesn't matter. Only if you have a desire to chant the holy name of the Lord, very quickly we can have the blessings of the Lord. Despite all this knowledge, why would one still to take path of impersonalism? So it is easy, natural, because they take. Why it is? Because if you see the 5 fingers, they are not same. Every finger. So everybody has a bhava. Some people cannot express the bhava of love or emotion. They want to do meditation, tapasya in a very silent way. Because of their bhava is different, they are not able to immediately take the path of bhakti. That's the reason. And bhakti is actually becoming dependent on Krishna. Here you can see Draupadi, how she was insulted by Dushasana in the assembly, public. But nobody, even though the Pandavas were so powerful, they were helpless. Even Bhishma was helpless. Dhritarashtra was helpless. And who saved Draupadi? When she lifted her both hands and cried out Govinda, then Krishna given her unlimited saris, So here, devotee means they are fully dependent on Krishna, dependent on God. So we know in the dog we see there are 2 kinds of dogs. One dog is actually a street dog. One dog has a master. The dog which has a master is having a collar. Okay. And it is walking bindas in the street because it knows my master is there. He will take care of me. He will feed me. He will give me shelter, everything. So the dog is very happy. But the other dog, the stray dog, whenever the kids are passing by, they are throwing stones, they are throwing stick, and the dog is running here and there, barking. There is no shelter for that dog. And sometimes the municipality comes, they will take this dog without collar. They will take and they will throw it somewhere. So we devotees, the bhakta is like a dog. Dog is known for its faithfulness for its owner. So we are very faithful and dependent on God. So our collar is actually said, sometimes this Tulasi Mala is said like our collar, that we are sincere servant of Krishna. So Krishna protects us, Krishna guides us. So this is how we should have a master. Those who don't have master, they are actually bewildered in this material world. We know there is God, God is protecting us. So we leave the responsibility of freeing oneself from Maya on the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. So that's why Bhakti is a process where we do devotion to the Lord and the Lord takes care of us. Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashati. Krishna boldly proclaimed to Arjuna, boldly proclaimed to this world that my devotee will never perish. So that is beauty of Bhakti Yoga, where we are full and full surrendered to Krishna and taking shelter, whereby Krishna protects and guides us. So here we have this beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Yavai sadhana sampatti purushartha chatustye taya vinatad apnoti naro narayana shraya. Ashraya means shelter. The purport of this verse is that one should not engage in the different process of fruitive activity or cultivate knowledge, jnana yoga, or by mental speculative process. One who is devoted, bhakti, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can attain all the benefits derived from other yogic process. One who is taking bhakti yoga, he gets the benefit of following karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, everything. And also the benediction of bhakti yoga. That is the specific benediction of devotional service. This is to emphasize the glories of devotional service. So how do you do this devotional service? Prabhupada is writing in the verse number Bhagavad-gita 12.6 to 7 purport. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Devotee of the Lord can approach the supreme destination, which is our Vaikuntha or Golaka Vrindavan, easily and happily. The process is blissful, the destination is blissful, and Krishna also becomes blissful. We also become blissful by this process. But this destination cannot be approached by any other process. If you take Jnana Yoga or Dhyana Yoga or Karma Yoga, we may attain the Brahma Jyoti platform, but we cannot enter into the spiritual worlds, which is Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha can be achieved only by the process of Ananya Bhakti, Bhakti, pure devotional service. Okay, so that is the conclusion. Now Arjuna is pondering how to perform this Bhakti. So we are going to the second section of this 12th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, how to perform Bhakti. So Bhakti is so glorious, also it is very rare. Pure devotion is not easily seen in this material world because everybody wants some business transaction with God. Nobody goes to God with a selfless mood. So that's why it is called as very rare. And why it is so rare? Because Krishna becomes controlled by that pure devotional service. Krishna can be purchased by the pure devotional service. And how that devotion can be achieved? Only by sadhu sangha, means association of devotees. We cannot achieve this devotion by any other means. Only by association of devotees, we can develop this bhakti. Here you can see Sudama. Even though Sudama was the poorest Brahmana, Krishna, because of his devotion, he is washing his feet. He is sitting on Krishna's personal bed with Rukmini. But Krishna is, told Rukmini, you fan Sudama. He's very tired. And, the goddess of fortune, she is fanning Sudama. And Krishna is washing his feet. So God is a controller of everybody, but God gets controlled by devotion. By the devotion of Sudama, Krishna became controlled by his devotion and he is washing his lotus feet. So there's the beauty and glory of bhakti. That bhakti you can achieve only by sadhu sangha or association of devotees. That's why we should utilize the opportunity wherever the devotees association are there. When we go and associate with them, then our devotion starts developing. So we have every Friday, we have this satsang program, the hall, where we are posting the invitation also. So we should take advantage of those such association, come associate, hear about Bhagavan, perform bhakti, chant together, honor the prasadam, and do some devotional service. In that sadhu sangha, we can get bhakti. So the scripture says, sadhu sangha, sarva satra kehe, lava matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hai. That means even a fraction of association with the sadhu can transform our life for better in devotion. So that's very important of the sadhu sangha. Second section of Bhagavad-gita, 12.8 to 12, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 5 verses Krishna is going to explain. Here, Krishna demonstrates his magnanimity and understanding. So Krishna is not an impractical person. He is seeing that we cannot come to this platform immediately. So he is going to give us options. So wherever we are current at that position, gradually we will improve. So we know 10th standard mathematics we cannot give to 5th standard student. So what we do, first he will study 5th standard, then 6th standard, 7th standard, 8th standard, 9th standard. When he's coming 10th standard, he will get 10th standard mathematics. Like that, Krishna, having delineated the topmost practice, he told bhakti. But he also goes to other options because he recognized that some may find it difficult to immediately embrace the path of devotional path. No, not for everybody, it's not like a cakewalk. Somebody will struggle. So he is giving various options below Bhakti Yoga also. So that options will gradually lead us to Bhakti. So progressive steps towards devotional spirit includes practice of regulated spirituality. So that means we follow the regulative principles, worship through one's daily work, and cultivation of knowledge. So that means a little bit of Jnana Yoga, little bit of Karma Yoga, and little bit of Dhyana Yoga. And the spiritual path is not at all or nothing, and one can bring their journey according to what is feasible and what is realistic. So the two words are important. What is feasible for us? It is not that immediately we can become like a great saint after hearing Bhagavad-gita. What is feasible for us? Like suppose I am not at all chanting, I can start what is feasible for me, 1 round. So those who are chanting 1 round, what is feasible for them? They can go for 2 rounds. And what is realistic? What can be achieved by us? So like that Krishna is giving here. And why Lord appears in different incarnations, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Vamana, Narasimha, Rama, Parasurama, Buddha, Kalki, like that. So Krishna appears in various forms according to the temperament of the devotee. Somebody may like Lord Ram very much. Somebody may like Lord Narasimha very much. Somebody may like Lord Krishna very much. But the topmost form is the 200 Shamashundra form. But there is no harm. If you are a Rama Bhakta, you can still worship Lord Ram, chant the holy name, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, still achieve, go to the planet of Ayodhya in the spiritual world. And you see here, Lord describes the different yoga systems. That bottommost is the Karma Kanda. Below Karma Kanda is the animalistic way of life. Above that is Karma Kanda, where we live, we try to enjoy life by following the scriptures. We want to enjoy by following scriptures. That is Karma Kanda. Then Sakama Karma Yoga is next level where we want to enjoy a little bit and we want to make God also happy. That is Sakama. I also have desire. I want to satisfy God also. Above Sakama Karma Yoga is Nishkama Karma Yoga where we want to fully make God happy. Above that is Jnana Yoga where we cultivate knowledge. Above that is Ashtanga Yoga or Dhyana Yoga. Above that is Buddhi Yoga. And the topmost is actually the Bhakti Yoga. In Bhakti Yoga, all these below components are there. Whereas only if you take Sakama or Nishkama, the Bhakti may be there or may not be there. So God is giving us various options. The first topmost option, Krishna is giving 12.8. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me without doubt. This is what Krishna's topmost instruction. Just fix Manmanabhava Madbhakta. Fix your mind upon me and engage your intelligence in me so that you will live in me always without a doubt. So here in the image, you can see Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur, this happened, it's a real true incident, happened 500 years before in West Bengal. Haridas Thakur was born in a Mohammedan or Muslim family. Okay. But he is an incarnation of Lord Brahma. Because during Krishna appeared 5,000 years before, Brahma made an offense to him by stealing the calves and gopas. So Brahma, second time, he don't want to do any aparadh to Krishna. So he begged that, give me one more chance. I want to become a true devotee of you. So Krishna told, 5,000 years now, after this, I will appear as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a devotee. That time you will appear as, in a Mohammedan family, as Haridas Thakur, and you will be called as a Namacharya. Why he will be called as Namacharya? Because Haridas Thakur, even though he was in the Mohammedan family, he chanted 3 lakh names of Krishna every day. 3 lakh names. That is 192 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So he was so absorbed in the thought of Krishna that he did not care for sleeping or eating. He was continuously chanting. So one of his neighbor, he was so envious of him and he wanted to spoil his name. So what he did at the middle of the night, he arranged a prostitute to meet him. So the prostitute was, dressed in improper way. She was exposing her body. And she approached Haridas Thakur and she requested Haridas Thakur, can you please satisfy me? I want to be in company of you. And in the middle of the night. So Haridas Thakur replied to her saying that, oh my dear lady, definitely I will fulfill your desire. But I have vow every day that I should chant this many 3 lakh names of Krishna. Please sit down near me, hear what I am doing, and then let us see. Once I complete, then I will fulfill your desire. Haridas Thakur kept on chanting. The chanting never stopped. Because so many times he has to 3 lakh times. But by constantly hearing the chanting of Krishna's name, the prostitute transformed. She became a devotee. And then by morning, she cried and fell at the feet of Haridas Thakur and said, I came with an evil intention. But by hearing the chanting, my heart got transformed. Please initiate me. I will become your disciple. And then Haridas Thakur initiated her and she became a very wonderful devotee. This is the glory of bhakti. Whereas on the other hand, we see Vishwamitra Muni, even though he was a great personality, he was doing tapasya. But when he heard the ankle bell of Menaka, his meditation got disturbed and she immediately got in union with Menaka. And he fell down from this austerity. So bhakti is so glorious that the chance of falling down is so impossible, so remote. That is an example of Haridas Thakur, Namacharya and Vishwamitra. So that is the first level of highest level of absorption, which Krishna is telling in chapter 12.8. But Krishna knows that it is not possible. Arjuna also knows. It's difficult to fix the mind and intelligence on you. Then what to do? Arjuna is asking this question, or Arjuna is thinking like that. Because not everybody can go to Haridas Thakur or like gopis. No, it is not easy. We are in the material world with so many responsibilities. It is not easy to achieve that state. So Krishna is giving a practical hint here. He is telling if you cannot go to that level, 12.9, Krishna is giving a hint. No, don't worry. Still you can perform bhakti. How do we perform? My dear Arjuna, oh winner of the wealth. If you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, first level, then follow the regulative principles of bhakti yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. So what are these regulative principles? We know that 4 regulative principles we are following in devotion. No meat eating, no illicit sex outside marriage, no intoxication, no gambling. So these 4 regulative principles we follow, and we will also chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day. So if you do this, it is called sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti means you practice. Then one day, by that practice, you will develop a desire to attain Krishna. So that love starts coming out. The dormant love starts manifesting when you do sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti means practicing. So in Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada recommended 16 rounds of chanting Hare Krishna Mantra. But those who cannot do, they can start 2 rounds, 4 rounds, 8 rounds, whatever feasible for them, and gradually progress. But these 4 regulative principles are also very important. By that, we get purification, and then we develop love for Krishna. Then, Prabhupada writes here, Bhakti Yoga is a purification of the senses. At the present moment in the material existence, where we are now, the senses are always impure, being engaged in sense gratification, in enjoyment. But by the practice of Bhakti Yoga, these senses can become purified because we are engaging the senses become purified. And in the purified state, they become directly in contact with the Supreme Lord. By our contaminated senses, we cannot see God. But when we engage in this devotional practice, our senses become purified and we can get the darshan of the Lord. In this material existence, I may be engaged in some service to some master, like we are working in some company, but I don't really lovingly serve the master. Very true, because we are working for salary. I simply serve to get some money. And the master also not in love. He also takes our service and pays me. If either I don't work properly, he will kick me out of the job, or if he does not pay payment, I will resign the job. So there is no question of love. But for spiritual life is different. One must be elevated to pure stage of love. So material life and spiritual life is out of voluntarily love. It's not by force. I cannot force anybody to love God. But the dormant love can be awakened by sadhana. That stage of love can be achieved by practice of devotional service performed with the present sense. So that is the second stage. So if it is not spontaneous, we can practice and make it spontaneous. This love of God is now in a dormant state in everyone's heart. Like inside the mountain, there is a volcano, it is in dormant state. When it is, the right set environment is coming, it is exploding into a volcano. Like that, when you do the sadhana, that love which is dormant in our heart will come out. And it is contaminated by material association. Now the heart has to be purified of the material association, and in the dormant natural love for Krishna has to be revived. That is the whole process. So spontaneous love can be achieved by practicing also. By gradually practicing, it becomes spontaneous. To practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, one should, under the guidance of an expert spiritual master, follow certain principles. That is ABCD. What is that ABCD? Association of devotees, book reading like Bhagavad-gita, Bhagavatam, chanting every day, following diet, offering food to the Lord and honoring him. Or D for devotional service. This practice can help anyone to rise to the level of love of God. And then he is sure to progress into the spiritual kingdom of God. So we can see this process is very gradual, slow and steady. So first we start with Shraddha, point number 1. We have faith that there is God. And we start Shraddha. Then by that we go to the spiritual practices. We have Sadhu Sangha, associate with devotees, and then we follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. We start chanting. Somebody advises us, as now we are taking in the class Sadhu Sangha, we chant, we follow Ekadasi Prasadam like that, Ekadasi fasting. And third stage, when Shraddha Sadhu Sangha, then we go to Bhajana Kriya. Bhajana Kriya means you take shelter of a Guru, Adav Guru Padashraya. We will take shelter of a Guru, Adav Guru Padashraya. Then we practice this sadhana bhakti. That is how ISKCON, we have this Guru who are coming in the Guru Sishya Parampara. So Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya is the process. When you do this Bhajana Kriya, then there is a fourth stage called Anartha Nivritti. All the dirty things from your heart start disappearing. Anartha Nivritti. When all the anarthas or dirty things start disappearing, then you go to stage 5 called Nishtha. So what is Shraddha and Nishtha is little different. Shraddha is light faith. Nishtha means strong faith. When the dirty things from the heart goes away, you have firm faith on God. And the Nishtha, you go to the 6th stage called Ruchi. Means you get taste to perform. You get happiness when you perform devotion. Ruchi, taste. And then by the taste, you get Ashakti, attachment to the process of devotion. And then the Ashakti is the stage. Next is the 8th stage called as Bhava or emotions. When the emotions get intensified, it will result into love of God, which is called Prema, which is the ultimate goal of any spiritual practice, irrespective of any religion. Maybe we are Hindu or Christian or Muslim. The ultimate goal is not to stamp ourselves as Hindu, Christian or Muslim, is to transform our heart from lust to love. And this journey of lust to love is by practicing this sadhana bhakti. Lust means I want to enjoy God's property without God, but love means I will enjoy God's property in association of love, in the service of love. Okay, I will enjoy with God, not try to enjoy independent of God. Enjoying independent of God is lust. Enjoying with God in loving devotional service is love. So that is actually a transformation which happens within the heart of an individual soul by practicing devotional service. So this is the transformation is very important. Information is given by Bhagavad-gita. By practicing, we get transformation. But if we stop with information, then there is nothing we can achieve. It is only just waste of time if you stop with information. So now Arjuna is pondering, I don't have time nor interest in devotional practice. Even I cannot do stage 2, sadhana bhakti also. Then what should we do? Then Krishna is advising the third stage. Even if you do not practice sadhana bhakti, we can take this process. Work for me. If you cannot practice the regulations of bhakti yoga, then just try to work for me. Because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. That is Bhagavad-gita 12.10, 8, 9, 10. So there are many things by which we can do some seva to Lord. Like prasadam distribution, book distribution, buying flowers or arranging some kind of working for Krishna will also gradually elevate us to stage 2. So stage 3 is working for Krishna. And stage 4, we will see, even if you cannot go for stage 3, also you will not work for Krishna also. Then you should have some kind of vairagya, renunciation, cultivation of knowledge. That is still better, and also meditation. So these are the stages. The topmost stage, it's a direct stage, mind fixed on Krishna. So result is you live in relationship with Krishna. If that is not possible, then come to the second stage, 12.9, follow the regulative principles of sadhana bhakti. Result is you will develop desire to attain Krishna. That is also not possible. 12.8, next lower stage is work for Krishna, because the result will come to the stage of devotional service. See, gradually we'll all go to the stage number first, but these are gradual, that is direct. Even that is not possible, then we will renounce the result of our work, renunciation, or we will cultivate by reading the scriptures, jnana yoga, and meditation, dhyana. So the result will be purification, peace, and gradual elevation. That is the last stage, or the lowest stage, or indirect stage. So these are the progressive stages of devotion which Krishna is giving. So Krishna is very practical. He is saying the topmost stage. If it's not possible, go to step number 2. Step number 2 is not possible, go to step number 3. If step number 3 is not possible, go at least to step number 4. By following step number 4 for over a period of time, you will go to step number 3. By following step number 3, then you go to step number 2. By following step number 2, you will go to step number 1, which is devotional service, intense absorption, or ecstasy in remembrance of Krishna. So Arjuna is now pondering, what are the qualities of a person engaged in bhakti? So somebody is engaging in bhakti. What is his symptoms? What are his qualities? Natural qualities which are developing when you practice devotional service. These are not developed artificially. These are developed naturally. This is the third section of Bhagavad-gita. First, we discussed personal and impersonal. Krishna concluded that worshipping in the personal form is easy and spontaneous and natural, and it is better. And second, he said how to perform bhakti, the 5 stages. If the topmost stage is not possible, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, somebody is practicing the devotion. What will be the qualities of the person? Internal divine qualities manifested as a result of practicing devotion. So this is the third section of today's chapter 12, devotee's disposition, 12.13 to 20 verses. As I said, this 20 verses only there. The last section is, as one embarks on the spiritual journey, they begin to develop saintly qualities, compassion, mercy, tolerance. Divine qualities will manifest automatically when we go in the spiritual journey. It is no use telling that I am a Hindu, I am a Christian or Muslim, if you don't develop saintly qualities. Krishna concludes the chapter by elucidating the disposition of a perfected devotee. The conclusion, Krishna is telling, if you have these qualities are there, they are very, very dear to me. They exhibit qualities such as tolerance, determination, satisfaction, equanimity in mind, and their purity of consciousness. It is very, very important if you want to have a peaceful and happy life. These qualities should be in our internal mind. Devotees endowed with such endearing character traits conquer the heart of Krishna. Krishna becomes captivated by these qualities when he is seeing in a devotee, who becomes bound by their spotless devotion. Such are the dealings in the transcendental realm, where even the unconquerable supreme controller becomes captive of love. You can see here, Prahlad Maharaj exhibited such a saintly qualities. The Lord manifested at Narasimhadev and protected his devotee. Because Krishna becomes conquered by that qualities. The unconquerable Lord becomes conquered by the devotee's bhakti or devotion or by his enduring qualities. Very, very important. Krishna is giving here the qualities. So let us see what are the qualities Krishna is saying here. Attitude towards oneself. So first of all, with the individual person who is following bhakti or devotion service, how is his attitude? He is free from false ego. What is false ego? Neither he thinks oneself that he is a doer or enjoyer. He knows that I am a cooperator in the plan of the Lord. And he is free from attachment to fruitive results. He does not hanker for the result. He will do as a duty. But whatever result comes, he is ready to accept it. And he is free from sense of proprietorship. You know, I am not the CEO. Krishna is the CEO. He is the controller, enjoyer, and owner. I am just as an instrument in his hand. And he is always having a balanced mind, equipoised in honor and dishonor, fame and infamy. Whether somebody is praising him, he is happy, or somebody is insulting him, still his mind is not disturbed. This is the attitude of a person who is practicing devotion or bhakti yoga. How does he deal with others? You can see here a beautiful image, Narada Muni and Parvata Muni. And here you can see a hunter named Mrigari. Mrigari was actually a very cruel hunter. Before meeting Narada Muni, he was a cruel hunter. One day, Narada Muni was going through the forest. He saw some animals were, trembling in pain. They are moaning in pain. So when he saw that, what is the reason? He saw they were half killed by a hunter. The arrow was there and they were trembling in pain. And Narada Muni was seeing around, he saw a hunter called Mrigari. He called him. Why are you doing like this? Why are you torturing these animals? The hunter said, this is my livelihood. I have my family, children, I have to feed them. If I don't kill, how will I sustain? But Narada Muni said, see, because you are killing so many animals, you will have so many sinful reactions for you. Go, can you ask your family members that can they take your sin? Go and check with your family. Then this hunter went to the family and said, see, I met a saint, Sadhu, today. He said that because I'm killing animals for my sustenance, I'll get a lot of sinful reaction. So, if my sinful reaction, can you all share my sin? They said, no. Why should we suffer because of you? No, we will not take your sinful reaction. Then this hunter came back to Narada Muni and said, no, I discussed with my family members. They are saying, no, we will not take your sin. He said, the Narada Muni advised him, yes, nobody can take your sin. Even though you are in the same family, every Atma has to suffer or enjoy based on its own karma. Nobody can share your karma. Then he said, no, but if I don't kill, I don't get food. Then Narada Muni said, no, God is a protector. He is providing food for everybody, even to the ant inside the forest, even to the elephant inside the forest. Why he will not feed you? Go and do devotion. He will give everything to you. So based on the advice of Narada Muni, this Mrigari went into the bank of river and he started doing tapasya. And the village people saw this man was a cruel hunter. Now he is doing bhakti. So they started sending him food, grains, everything for his livelihood. Mrigari hunter became very happy. So he got transformed by following bhakti yoga. Then one day, Narada Muni came with his colleague, we can say, Parvata Muni. He was walking in the same forest. So our Mrigari hunter is now transformed. He saw this, his guru. So ecstasy when he saw his guru, he started running so fast towards this guru. But suddenly he stopped. He fell on the ground and he started taking his chadar and then sweeping the ground. Narada Muni did not understand what he is doing. So he came close to that person, Mrigari, and asked, what are you doing? He said, see, there are so many ants crawling in the ground floor. If I come and stamp them, they will all die. And I don't want to kill them. When I want to meet you, I don't want to, harm them also. That's why I'm brushing them aside so that I will not kill them. So it was a transformation. Narada Muni was astonished by his transformation. Parvata Muni was astonished. So such a cruel hunter, his heart transformed into so much of compassion for all the jivatmas living in it. That is the effect of following bhakti. So that kind of non-envious, you are becoming friend to all. That person will not put anybody into difficulty, anxiety or fearfulness. He will not disturb anyone. He is equal to both friends and enemies. And he is free from contaminating association and he is silent and only speaks about Krishna. Imagine if you have people with this kind of qualities, where there is a question of war, why one country will attack another country, kill innocent people, children. If people follow all these, the divine qualities manifest, this world itself will become as a Vaikuntha. That's why this bhakti is very glorious, because we develop these divine qualities whereby we are peaceful and we make peace on our surrounding area also. Our family becomes peaceful and happy. When our family becomes peaceful and happy, our society becomes peaceful and happy. When our society becomes peaceful and happy, our country becomes peaceful and happy. When our country becomes peaceful and happy, this entire world becomes. So transformation is not, it starts from ourselves. If we transform ourselves, we can transform the world. But it is not the other way around, that I will not change, but I want everybody else around me to change. That is not possible. Only hope for us is we cannot change our family, we cannot change our children. But if we change ourselves by our transformation, it will have a ripple effect over our family and community. Many people will be inspired to change. And that transformation is possible when we take this path of devotion. And how do they react to the events of this world? There are so many things are happening in this world, How do they react? Because they are self-controlled, they are not disturbed. They neither rejoice nor grieve, neither lament or desire. Here you can see Uttara praying to Lord Krishna when the Ashwatthama hit her with the nuclear weapon, Brahmastra. But she taken shelter of Krishna, that Krishna kindly protect the Sisu within my embryo. Satisfied with whatever comes by Krishna's mercy. Of course, Krishna protected, and Parishit Maharaj was born because Krishna protected her from the Brahmastra, effect of Brahmastra, and doesn't care for any material facility except for residence. So the devotee's mood or mindset is like that. And continuing to the reaction to the events of this world, equipoised, they are balanced, tolerant in difficulty. If whatever situation comes, even the greatest difficulty, they are very, very tolerant. They are expert. They know how to use everything in the service of the Lord. They are pure internally and also externally. Internally, they have a very good heart, and externally also they are very pure. Sees all events, good and bad, as the mercy of the Lord. They know that even though some situation may be painful apparently to our material eyes, they know ultimately it is done by God for our ultimate good. Sometimes doctor does an operation, it may be painful, but it is for our ultimate good, for our ultimate health. So this is also the mentality of people who are practicing pure devotion. And how do they deal with the Lord? They are always engaged in bhakti with faith, nishtha, and with the determination. You cannot disturb them. You cannot deviate them from the path. They are always having fixed their goal in the path of devotion. And their mind and intelligence are always fixed on Krishna. And Krishna says, those people with have this so much divine qualities because manifested due to bhakti yoga, they are very, very dear to me. Etu dharma mritam idam etoktam paryupasate shraddha dana mat parama bhaktate ative me priyaha. Priya means dear. And Krishna is telling these people are not only dear, they are ative me priya, very, very dear to me. Very clear. See, self-explanatory verse. Etu dharma mritam idam etoktam paryupasate shraddha, with faith, mat parama, they come to me. Bhakta, devotee, they are very, very dear to me. Those who follow this imperishable path, dharmamritam idam, imperishable path of what? Devotional service, bhakta, and who completely enjoy themselves with faith, shraddha dana mat parama, with faith making me as a supreme, mat parama, supreme goal, or very, very, too very dear to me, not only dear to me, very, very dear to me. So if at all we want to become dear to God, we should take up this goal of bhakti, where we perform bhakti yoga, the imperishable path of bhakti yoga, where we make God as our goal. Material job, duties, responsibilities are there on one track. But ultimate end of ours, ultimate destination is to go back to home, back to Godhead. And how to go back to home, back to Godhead? It is by taking the path of devotional service. This is called imperishable path. Eternally, this path is so glorious. Not only for Kali Yuga, in all the yugas, we can achieve God by taking this path. Etu dharmamritam idam etoktam paryupasate shraddha dana matparama bhaktaste ativeme priyaha. So this is the last verse where Krishna is concluding. Who is very, very dear to Krishna? One who takes the path of devotional service and engage in devotion and make Krishna as their supreme goal with determined effort. So that is the glory of bhakti, which Krishna is beautifully explaining here. So the conclusion, last section of this today's presentation. The question of who is better, one who is engaged in the path of impersonal Brahman or one who is engaged in the personal service of the Supreme Personality of God. There are two paths for spiritual people. One is worshipping the impersonal form of the Lord. The second is worshipping the personal form of the Lord by devotion. Was raised by Arjuna, and the Lord replied to him so explicitly that there is no doubt that devotional service to the personality of Godhead is the best of all process of spiritual realization. This is conclusion of Krishna. In other words, in this chapter, it is decided that through good association, like Shakespeare said, "Who tell me who is your friend, I will tell who you are." If you are through good association, one develops attachment for pure devotional service. That means if you are attached to devotees, automatically devotion will come, and thereby accept a bona fide spiritual master, accept a guru in our life, and from him begin to hear and chant and observe the regulative principles of devotional service with faith, attachment, and devotion, and thus become engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. So Prabhupada writes in this same last verse, purport, Prabhupada writes this. So we need to have good association, devotee association, and follow the regulative principles whereby we cultivate our attachment and develop a desire to achieve Krishna. So text number 20, dearest of all is one who makes Krishna as the goal of his life. What do they follow? They follow this imperishable path of devotional service, make Krishna as the supreme goal of their life, completely engage themselves with faith. So those people are very, very fortunate, very glorious, because after finishing their life, they go back to spiritual world, never to come into this material world to have any kind of sufferings or misery. So that is the glory of path of devotion. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is an incarnation of Krishna, gives 5 important potent formulas to develop this love of Krishna. So this Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 22.128, Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavad Shravan, Mudrava, Sri Murti Shraddhe Sevana. So these are the 5 processes by which we can awaken quickly the 5 powerful processes. One should associate with the devotees, chant the holy name of the Lord, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and reside at Mathura and worship the deity with faith and veneration. So we can see here, associate with devotees. As I said, we have this weekly satsang. We should take advantage of that association with devotees. Chant the holy name of the Lord regularly every day as we are taking bath. If we don't take bath, we become dirty. So the mind also becomes dirty due to material interaction. So every day we have to chant the holy names of the Lord. It's Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. And here Srimad Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So Bhagavad-gita is the basic study. Srimad Bhagavatam is advanced study. So we have Srimad Bhagavatam every Monday evening, 6:30 to 7:30. If you are interested, you can hear Srimad Bhagavatam also. And reside in the holy place where it is conducive for your spiritual progress, and perform deity worship. Archa Vigraha. Have a deity at the home and you can do worship, offer food, bhoga to the Lord for his pleasure, and honor the prasad. And Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 22.129, Sakala Sadhana Sreshta Ye Panchanga. These 5 are the very potent of all the other things. These 5 are very potent. Krishna Prema Janma Ye Panchera Alpa Sangha. These 5 limbs of devotional service are the best of all. Even a slight performance of these 5 awakens love for Krishna. If you associate with devotees or chant the holy name of the Lord, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, reside at Dhamma and perform deity worship, any one of these you do also, you will awaken love for Krishna. So the conclusion of this today's verse is acronym God. G stands for Godhead. Krishna concludes to Arjuna's question, which form of worship is higher and perfect? Krishna says, worshipping the personal form of the Lord is higher and superior. And Krishna says that can be achieved by Bhakti Yoga. And if you cannot, Krishna gives 5 options in Bhakti Yoga. First is full absorption. If that is not possible, stage 2 is following regulative principles and practicing Bhakti Yoga, whereby you will cultivate the desire to achieve Krishna. That is not possible. The third option, Krishna is saying that you will work for him, and that is not possible. Then Krishna is telling cultivate Vairagya, cultivate Jnana Yoga, do meditation, and try to renounce the fruits of your work. And by this way, gradually we can develop devotion to the Lord. And the third is actually devotee disposition. Krishna is saying, if somebody will take the path of devotees, how they are very, very dear to Krishna, and how will be their qualities, divine qualities, which are very, very dear to Krishna. All these qualities, internal qualities, how they deal with the world, how they deal with the Lord, and how they deal with the other persons. All these qualities are given from verse number 13 to 20. And verse number 20, Krishna says, Ativeme Priya. They are very, very dear to me because they have manifested such a wonderful divine qualities. anybody such manifests these qualities, they are actually very, very fortunate, because they what do they give this knowledge to others, and also they have become very fruitful persons in the very important persons in society, because by their individual transformation they can transform their society by preaching this devotional service, as Srila Prabhupada preached this devotional service and formed this international society for Krishna consciousness. And this is the whole Bhagavad-gita second section we are completing, the Bhakti Yoga part, which is chapter 7 to 12. This summary study we will see in the coming Friday, same local time, Friday evening 6 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. Indian time. We will have this quick summary study of what we discussed from chapter 7 to 12, and then we will go to the chapter number 13, which is starting from Jnana Yoga 13 to 18. So I would like to express the credits, because I have referred various materials in preparing this presentation. Gita Life by His Holiness Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Swami, and Evolve Pune material by His Grace Madan Gopal Prabhu, and also the slides by His Grace Amritananda Prabhu. So hope this session was very interesting, where Krishna is giving, saying, ultimately concluding that worshipping His personal form is most glorious and the most perfect way. And the bhakti is the best, which makes God more happy. When you express what is bhakti, bhakti is nothing but expressing the love towards the Supreme Lord. In whatever religion we are, even Christ said in one of the commandments, first commandment, love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. Love your neighbor as thyself. That is the conclusion of all the holy scriptures, that we should develop love for God. That will make God happy. That will make us also happy. So that is chapter 12, devotional service. And next week, we are going to enter into the new chapter, Bhagavad-gita, chapter 13 to 18, which focuses more on Jnana Yoga to enhance our bhakti. So the nature, enjoyer, and consciousness, that will be in the coming Friday. So thank you all for giving your time, attending this session week after week. And please do attend the forthcoming sessions and get enriched in your knowledge of Bhagavad-gita and enriched in your devotion by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhyo Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ananta Kodi Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you all. Have a wonderful week ahead, and meet you again next Friday evening, 6 p.m. local time online, for discussing on chapter 13. Hare Krishna.